The number one thing that will impact your interest rate and even the type of home that you can buy is your credit score. So, number one, let's take a look here and look at this is how credit scores are determined. This is how the algorithm works. Now, first thing you have to look at is your payment history. It's 35% of your credit score. Payment history is basically have you been paying on time? And keep in mind, the biggest mistake I see is that when people have maybe a $10 bill and they go, oh, I'll pay that next month. No, now your credit score has dropped 80 points because it doesn't matter whether it's a $10 payment or it's a $500 payment. If it's due on a certain date, it's due that date. And if you're more than 30 days late, it will be reported to the credit bureaus and your credit score will indeed drop considerably, which could knock you out of buying a house altogether. Next thing is 30% of your score, which is your outstanding debt versus your credit limit. So I could have two credit cards. One could be a Visa card for $20,000, and I owe maybe $5,000 on that, which is 20%. Okay. I'm sorry, that's 25%. Sorry. Or I could get a little card from the Gap, and they usually give you a $400 or $500 limit to start with. You go shopping there and you owe $350. One's 5,000, one's 350. The $5,000 is not hurting your credit score at all. You're using basically 25% of your limit. But if you have 350, $400 on the Gap, even though the dollar amount is much less, it's going to pull your credit score down considerably because all it looks at, it's an algorithm, it's a dumb algorithm. It just looks at here's your limit, here's how much you owe. There must be something wrong. Danger. So that's what it looks at. So be aware of that. The two cures to that is basically you could pay down your whatever it is that you owe on that particular credit line, or you could increase your credit limit. It has the same effect. That's a secret tip number one. Next is your credit history. So that's about 15% of your score. Your credit history is how long have you had that particular credit line? It makes a big difference. Most programs want you to have at least one, if not multiple, depending upon what program you're using, mortgage program, multiple credit lines that have over a 12-month or a 24-month history. So be aware that sometimes what happens is you'll be paying 20% and you'll see a credit card for 15%. You say, oh, I'm going to transfer my balance to that because it's a lesser percentage, which I understand. But what's going to happen is most people will say, I don't want to keep that credit because everyone's told me, my parents have told me, my grandparents have told me, if you're not using a credit line, get rid of it. That's the wrong thing to do here because you're taking your entire credit history and erasing it. And now you're starting all over again with a brand new credit history that has no history yet. So you're erasing 7 years maybe in lieu of 1 month. That won't work for the mortgage bureaus. You might be denied a loan just because of that. Next up, type of credit and use. So the way the scoring works is it gives importance to different types of credit, mortgage credit, student loan credit, car payment credit. They're extremely important. And it goes down in a little bit lesser effect when you get down to credit cards and different other types of loans. And last but not least is your pursuit of new credit. So be careful when you're about to apply for a loan 6 months prior to that. You don't want to do a lot of new applications for credit. That's a bad thing to do it. You can do it the day after you go to settlement, but not prior to that. So that's a brief credit history on how credit scores are determined. Next, you go to FICO scores. Well, what does it mean if I have a 300 or an 800 credit score? Here's the difference. 300 to 620 is a poor credit score. 620 to 680 is fair. 680 to 720 is a good credit score. 720 to 760 is very good. Above 760, it doesn't matter if you have 761 or 849. It's all the same in terms of how that, once you get above 760, you're going to get the best rates available and all programs available to you. So that breaks down FICO credit score scales. And that has changed. It was a lot different not so long ago. Well, 2007, 2008. And here's yeah, again the importance of your credit history. A history of making monthly payments on time indicates that you're likely to make your mortgage payments on time. Your credit score can be a factor in the type of mortgage you qualify for, and your credit score can also determine the amount required for a down payment. Because if you have a 620 credit score and are trying to put 3% down, you're not as likely to get approved as if you're trying to put 3% down with a 740 or 720 credit score. And, again, this credit score can affect the interest rate and will usually affect the interest rate, and that varies in different programs that you can be offered. What works best? Well, this isn't brain salad surgery. It's very easy. Pay your bills consistently on time. Maintain reasonable amounts of unused credit. Apply for credit sparingly and check your reports annually. You can do this with TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, not Credit Karma. Credit Karma is not in this. So when you see your Credit Karma score and you look, oh, Credit Karma has a 720 and we pull your score and it's a 680, there's a reason for that. Because Credit Karma, and actually it goes back a little bit further than Credit Karma. A long time ago, it was a survey was done that showed that when people think they have a better score, they go out and buy more. So Credit Karma, which is given to you by usually any of your credit card companies, that's what they'll use, or they'll use their own algorithm. That's why it always looks higher. So that's a little cheat sheet to watch out for. And what not to do is don't make checks with non-sufficient funds. Don't max out your credit limits. Pay your credit on time and don't have numerous applications. And that's basically it. That's a wrap up in your credit lesson for today. If you have any questions, please reach out to me, 215-681-3587 or kevin.burgio at ccm.com. Have a great day.